Hi, I'm Brian Mullin, and this is Force the Line. Now, 1 year ago today, there was no doubt in my mind that this is a model of the world in which we live. Little did I know that a month later, I would stumble onto flat Earth theory, which sounds ridiculous when you first hear it. Flat Earth, the whole idea is, you're going to fall off the edge. We were taught in school that the silly ancients believed that the Earth was flat, and that Columbus sailed to America and basically proved that it was a ball. I mean, that's what I was taught as a kid. And so I started seeing these flat Earth videos popping up constantly on YouTube, and started seeing some chat about it on the internet. And I just started thinking to myself, this is ridiculous. I was always a huge nerd when I was a kid. I watched all the Star Treks, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, all that stuff. Loved Star Wars. Played a ton of video games. Star Wars X-Wing is still one of my all-time favorite video games. And so the idea that there's that we're not a spinning ball in space, kind of really threw me off. There's no planets out there. It's not what we think it is. I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to prove this wrong. So I set out to do so. One of the things that caught my attention about flat Earth theory was that we can see things much farther away than we should be able to if the surface of the Earth is curved, based on a curvature or a circumference of 25,000 miles. So, first thing I did, I got some binoculars. I drove over to Cape Canaveral, because I live very close there, just to bring some irony into it as well. And I started to lay down on the beach and look at things that were 6-7 miles away to the north. I looked at the port of Canaveral, at the beach that juts out a little bit from the beach south of it, and I could see it. I could see the waves washing up on it, and based on a sphere with a circumference of 25,000 miles, that shouldn't be possible. I found the flat Earth community. A man named Michael Conkey came up with this chart. Very good chart. So this is a great contribution to the world, in my opinion, to get an idea of how much drop there should be from level view. Okay? To help you visualize what this is saying is, if you were to draw in AutoCAD or any other drafting software, MicroStation or anything else, a circle with a radius of 3,959 miles, and then draw a line tangent to that circle, at every mile from that tangent point you should see so much drop. Now that tangent line is assuming that your view is level. When you look out over a surface of water, your view is level. I think it's level, right? People argue that when you're looking at things in the distance, you're actually looking down, and that this isn't right. But I think my view's level. When I'm standing here upright and looking out, I think my view is pretty much level. And I see things across a body of water. I don't think I'm looking down at them. But the real proof for me came when I went to Lake Apopka in Florida, the second largest lake in Florida. There are areas of the lake where there's an 8-mile stretch across. I took my telescope out there, and I actually put the tripod in the water, and I set the telescope about 3 feet above the surface of the water, and I could see the shore on the other side. And that doesn't make any sense, because when you look at the curvature chart, you can see that at 8 miles, there should be roughly a 42-foot drop, right? Almost 43 feet. Now, subtracting the height of my telescope, because it's above the water, take about 3 feet, roughly there should be a little under a 40-foot drop to the shore on the other side. But I can see it. I shouldn't be able to see it. There should be a curve of water in the way. This was the biggest problem I found. And then I started observing the sky. I had taken astronomy a few years ago, and I'd always questioned, I'd walk out of astronomy, I took it in the fall, and I'd walk out after class, after discussing galaxies and nebulas and all these things, and I'd just look at the sky and just like, where is this stuff? Of course, back then I just thought I needed a more powerful telescope or access to the Hubble, which I have questions of whether that thing even exists now. But I don't know. I couldn't prove it wrong. I couldn't prove flat Earth theory wrong. I thought it would be so easy to do, and it was actually very difficult to do. And I became so obsessed with this that I actually started my own series on YouTube called Balls Out Physics. And the whole purpose of the series was to put the ball model to the test, to really throw the questions out there and to get some feedback from people. I made some errors in my videos, and I have to go back and correct those errors. In the words of the great John F. Kennedy, an error does not become a mistake until we refuse to correct it. So I will correct some of those errors. However, I don't think that anything I've done in my videos is absolutely wrong. I just need to fix some things. But anyway, my last video was released at the end of September. I released it at the end of September. And then I did a radio interview on flat Earth and other hot potatoes. And I was going to keep going with my series, but then, well, I had a wrench thrown in my gears. A very wise retired surveyor of 32 years contacted me at work. He saw my videos and figured out where I worked and gave me a call. And we discussed an experiment that he deemed the plumbicular experiment, about using lasers, and came up with a way that we could actually try to measure the curvature to prove this. And then shortly after that, he sent me a link to the rectilineator documentary, which is actually the backbone of concave Earth theory. Concave Earth basically is the theory that we do live in a sphere. In a sphere. We're on the inside of the sphere, and that the Earth curves up away from us. And we just can't see the curve because of an optical illusion. I looked into this some too. And right now, I'm not going to say that the Earth is a convex sphere, which is this model, that the Earth is flat, or that the Earth is concave. At the moment, I really don't know. The only thing I do know is that I can see things farther away that I should be able to. And observing the celestial bodies with my telescope, and watching the sun and the moon, I'm having a really tough time believing that they're that far away. You know, the sun and the moon move through the same path in the sky. Without being told that the sun is 93 million miles away, and that we are rotating, and that's what makes it go through our sky, you could never conclude that. That's why the ancients thought that the Earth is flat, and that we live in a geocentric world, meaning that everything revolves around us. Okay? Something to keep in mind. A Major League Baseball player steps up to the plate. Pitcher throws the ball, 90-mile-per-hour fastball. That batter can see that ball so well that he can hit it with his bat. And then an outfielder can tell from the sound and the sight of that ball that it's going to go over his head. So he starts running backwards. He runs backwards fast enough to jump up against the wall in the outfield and make a game-winning catch. He saw that ball leave the bat and was able to catch it. This happens all the time. Just go watch some baseball games or go watch some montage videos of amazing MLB catches on YouTube. Those same two players, observing the moon and the sun, would not be able to conclude that one is going around us and we are going around the other just from observing them. They have to be told so. People say our eyes trick us. We can't trust our eyes. NASA says this. All three theories, flat Earth, convex sphere, and concave sphere, are all saying that we are seeing illusions, or it's our perception, or there's vanishing points. Basically, we can't trust our eyes. But baseball players can hit baseballs. My high school physics teacher actually used to say that one of the most amazing things about this world was that an outfielder can judge where a ball's going to go and catch it. I like to think I had the greatest physics teacher ever. Some of the people that went to high school with me might agree, because he was a great teacher. Maybe we're a little biased, but he was awesome. So anyway, I saw the rectilineator documentary, and the experiment is very good. It seems good. It was done in the late 1800s in Naples Beach, Florida. Posted a link down below in the description. You can watch it. And so I started thinking about this. How can we do this easier? Because the experiment requires a lot of beach, and it requires the surface of water. Because the theory is that the surface of water must follow the shape of the Earth, whether it's flat, concave, or convex. Water has to contour to it. You know, if these pictures from space are real, which we don't really have any pictures for space. Another thing I should throw in there, you can look this up. All of the images we have from space are actually composites. NASA admits to this. It's no big secret that they piece these things together, which is very surprising. Why can't we just get a picture and a video of it? I don't know. But unless you want to believe that the 1990 Galileo footage is real, even though the clouds remain stationary for a full 360-degree spin. I mean, that can't be possible. But I mean, that's 24 hours. But anyway, everybody's arguing over this. Well, not everybody, but the flat Earth community, concave community. I got really into this, and I also got really turned off by it because people are starting to fight with each other over this. Human beings are fighting over their world, their home. I got kind of turned off by the flat Earth community because there's a Facebook group called Spherical vs. Flat Earth, and you know, people come in who believe that they live on a spinning ball, and they start asking questions, and they're suddenly bombarded by memes and comments that are just off the wall, kind of disrespecting the people that are asking these questions. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know, you flat earthers, you used to think you lived on a spinning ball too. Why are you attacking these people? You know, why are human beings, why are we so quick to jump on a side and fight with each other? I've never really understood that. You know, Democrats, Republicans, Giants, Cowboys, East, West, this just always happens. You know, why we don't really get anywhere when we fight with each other over things. We just end up with two sides, an endless debate. It just goes on and on and on. We never really get anywhere. We need to start working together, I think. So, anyway, our eyes cannot be trusted. That's the general consensus. We're being deceived. We cannot trust our own eyes. So, we really can't conclude that the Earth is flat, concave, or convex from cameras or telescopes or anything, right? Because everybody's just going to argue, oh, it's an illusion, light's bending, oh, this, that, this is what's happening, you're not seeing what you're really seeing, blah, blah, blah. So, why don't we just measure it? I started thinking about the rectilinear experiment. I started thinking of easier ways to do it. Existing structures like bridge piers we could use to try to build a rectilinear type device over the surface of water and measure the distance to the water. But the more I kept thinking about it, and I'm a structural engineer, so I deal a lot with erecting structures and how much it costs and blah blah blah. I just couldn't come up with a cheap way to do this. And then for some reason about a week ago I was tying my shoes getting ready for work, and it hit me. We don't need water. There's actually a very easy way to do this, and that's what I'm going to call force the line, or the force the line experiment. No offense to the rectilineator, but in this day and age that's not really a good name. People are going to make fun of the rectilineator for obvious reasons. So this